Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We are the Webheads, and this is a roundtable discussion amongst some really talented web designers and strategic consultants and brand consultants. And we're going to have a conversation here about one of our latest articles that we did. And the topic is going to be on some proven ways that you can improve your website's user experience, some strategies that you can use to upgrade and transform your website redesign. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around for this conversation. But before we get started, I just want to introduce everybody who's here. Just say a little bit about yourself and your business and what you do, and then we'll just jump right into the discussion. Okay. Pia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pia Civiletti of Centium Associates, and I help business owners and organizations create their branding, websites, and marketing, and also custom graphics.
All right. Robert.
I'm Robert Coxe of Civiletti Design. I help environmental organizations and businesses create and maintain their websites. I also help with blogging.
Perfect. Thank you, Robert. Josh.
Yeah, my name is Josh Collier from J&M Web Creations. I do a lot of the technical stuff, WordPress web design, website maintenance, hosting, and then also automation type stuff.
Perfect. And my name is Joshua Lamothe. I'm the owner of Grassroots Consulting. I design, build, manage, and maintain the web presences and the brands for small business owners and independent entrepreneurs. I primarily work with WordPress, and I love what I do. So let me also introduce who we are as a collective. We are the Webheads. We're Webheads United. We are a group of, as I said, independent web designers who come together to educate business owners on some of the trends and some of the things that can help you have a successful online presence so that you can achieve goals like getting more customers or driving more traffic to your information. And we come together to have conversations like we're about to get into, see what comes up, see what kind of information you can hear out of us, get some insights. And then any one of us is available to work with if you need any support. At the end, we'll share a link where you can find out how to get in touch with us. All right, well, let's just jump right in. So our article that we were talking about was written by Pia, and it's called 10 Proven User Experience, or UX, we might refer to it as, strategies to transform your website redesign. So basically, for those who may or may not know, we're talking about user experience, right? So the user experience is a very important part of a website's success. If you have a well-designed user experience, most likely that means that visitors are going to be able to easily navigate or more easily navigate your website, find what they're looking for, what they'd expect to find, and have that whole experience of finding that or getting in touch with you much more seamless. So we're going to talk about a couple factors. We might not get to all 10 in the article, but we'll put a link and you can always read the article. But we're going to get to a couple main ones. And we're going to see and hear from our webheads and see what they think about these elements that make up the UX or user experience of a website. Okay, so you guys can just chime in after I sort of mention these. So the first one we're going to talk about is the navigation. So let's just leave it at that. When we talk about navigation, we're talking about the menu and the way that you get around your website. So let's hear from a couple webheads to say how, what are some strategies that navigation plays in a good user experience? Go ahead and raise your hand. Pia.
Yeah, so, when you're starting out in your web design and you're creating a sitemap, we're really having a website for your visitors. So instead of thinking about how you want it to look or what you like, you have to think about who's going to be visiting, which your target audience, and what you want them to see first and how you want them to follow through the website. So your menu structure is really important. And sometimes it's not about putting everything in the menu. It's about putting the things that's most important in the menu. So making it front and center, very visible. I know a lot of times people are going with the style of having the, call it the 3 bars, like on the right or left or something like that. You have to think about who your target audience is and what structure is going to work for them, and ensuring that the items that are in there are what they need to see. So like if you can do a call to action right there in the menu structure to the things that, services or something like that, that is what you want to drive them to, that would work better for your visitors and for getting them to stay on your website, getting leads, which is the whole point of your website. So I would say that when you're creating your menu, making it clear, very easy to find, not too small, obviously, and ensuring that the items are in there, one, makes sense, kind of follow an organized structure, and bring them to where you want them to, so that they would be, the interest in your services and products and things like that is, what you're providing to them, because that's what you want to sell to them. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Pia. Robert or Josh, you have anything to add to what Pia just said?
Sure. A couple other things with that. Many sites or most sites on their logo will be the homepage, but I've seen, and I've done them both ways, with a home and without actual button. It may depend on your clientele. If you have older people who don't really understand that the logo usually goes to the homepage, you might want to add that. The other thing that can be helpful, depending on if you have a very large site or e-commerce or something, could be breadcrumbs at the top. I don't use them very often because I usually don't do giant sites with like Amazon. But essentially, it's not in the navigation, but it's right above your products or something like that will show like home and then the category and then the product, and it'll just kind of get you down the line so you can go right back to that category if you want to. So that can be a way that it's navigation, but not necessarily in that main menu as well.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Let's keep going right down the
Yes,
list here. Oh, you got something to say, Robert? Go for it.
Yeah, I was going to add, on your navigation, try to aim for about 5 items in your navigation, no more than 6. And usually you have the things like about, services, shop, blog, and contact. But try to aim for about 5. You don't want to overwhelm your visitors when they first come.
Perfect. Keep it simple, keep it clear, and give them just a couple choices to drive them a little further down where they want to get to. That's all very good advice. All three of you, thank you so much. Let's move away from the navigation and let's move into the second element, which is a pretty complicated element, and we could probably break this down into a million ways, but I would say pick an area that you wanted to talk about. This is in the area of design, the overall design, the aesthetic, we might call the brand identity. How does the design play a role in having an effective performing website? Go ahead, Pia.
You're muted.
I said, give me a buzzer. I'm going to do it faster. Yeah, this is the brand, the design and brand design, obviously is one of my favorite areas. And when someone gets to, a visitor gets to your website, the one thing that you want to make sure you do is make sure they know what website it is. So, aligning it with your brand, making sure if you do have a logo, that it's there. Now, placement of the logo, a lot of times when I'm looking at this, I do it by the design. And sometimes it makes sense to put it in the center with like 2 menu items on one side, 2 menu items on the left, on the right side, left side type thing. Or sometimes it makes sense to put it on the left. I don't think I've ever seen a placement on the right-hand side because normally people, read left to right. So, making sure somewhere that they have that brand identity, if a logo is something that is part of your brand, that they can see that so they know, okay, yep, I'm at the right place. And then of course, colors and typography, it all sets in with the brand. So your brand colors should flow through, and this includes the menu, the header section, all that. They all should look and say, yeah, that looks like this company. You want to keep in mind that you want the text of the menu to be very clear, right? You want them to be able to read the words. They need to be large enough. They need to be in a color that makes sense for visibility and for the brand as well. And that goes for the typography. Picking a typography that's very clear. You don't want anything that's too bulky. You don't want anything that's too light. So really, and it really should be, if it's not exactly matching the same font, maybe as your text on the website, it should be something that's similar. Because if you have, say, a different type font for headers and a type font for text, you don't want to go totally off of those and pick something that's totally different for your header text. So you want, even if it's a different font, it should be similar. Like if it's a sans serif, stay with sans serif. Serif, stay with the serif. So I think that's, a good start for guidance for the design of the header and the overall user experience.
Great, thank you, Pia. Robert or Josh, anything else regarding the overall design?
I was going to say, following what Pia said, make sure your colors are consistent. For instance, with the web heads, we have the red, white, and blue, and accents of yellow, and you can see that in the background behind us. And when you see those colors, you're looking at the web heads. Also, Pia talks about in her blog post about the minimalism, and a lot of Western sites use the white space and the minimalism. But if you look at an Eastern Asian site, they may have what we call cluttered, but that's normal for them. And examples would be Alibaba or some of the Japanese websites. So you have to kind of design it to and brand it according to what you're doing.
Absolutely. I always tell people everything you're doing in your marketing probably goes towards your website at some point. So making sure that all of your elements are consistent and what people are seeing out there and what they expect to see. Because I'm sure we've all done this. We probably went to a website and it just did not immediately tell us we were in the right place, didn't make us feel like we were understanding it. And we it's almost like walking down a dark alley. You just turn around and leave. And that's what I think some people do. And we want to avoid that. So great answers. I don't know if Josh, you had anything that you wanted to just chime in there? Okay, perfect. Let's go on to our third and probably final topic. But there's many more that we could talk on, but we're going to keep this brief. How about responsiveness? The idea that a website would be working well on a mobile. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, it's definitely important for your customers, but also for Google and how you rank. So that's very important, having it show up well. A lot of times you want to just go and look at it on different devices, depending on what builder, what you're using. Maybe they only really stick to 3 different screen sizes, and you got to kind of tweak things at different sizes. So sometimes you got to do different things for smaller laptops. Especially you'll see this in navigation when they start jumping to second lines, stuff like that. So sometimes you have to make that text smaller so they stay on the same line. Or it may be too cluttered at that point. You just need to cut some of those off and not have as many top levels. There's some great things to use. Some get kind of expensive, but one called Browser Stack that allows you to see it on all different devices, because it could be an Android phone that's the same size as an iPhone, can show it differently. And some things won't work on that. That'll work on the other. So sometimes it's good to do that. Browser Stack, it gets kind of expensive, but you can see it on all different devices. It actually puts a device on your screen showing it. Or another one I have that actually just does different screen sizes, but not technically different OSs is Civiletti, and it'll show them all on there. I can scroll down and see my site on all different size screens at one time, just to kind of do a quick once over and make sure it's still looking decent on everything.
Great stuff. Awesome. Anybody else have anything on mobile responsiveness or tablet responsiveness or just responsiveness in general? Yeah, I think the there's no going about it. Everything is moving towards smaller and smaller screens, and if things aren't working on all screens, it's a big problem. I mean, I think it's just safe to say you really need to consider as you're building this thing out what underlying platform that you're using that is going to ensure that no matter what you do in the future, it's going to automatically, to the best it can, resize your screen. So it definitely takes some time to investigate any themes you might be using or platforms you might be using. And of course, ask a webhead. That's really our message here. We've given you just a little bit of a sampling of some of the information from this article. We've got many more articles at our website, webheadsunited.com. There'll be a link in the description below. Also, if you're looking to work with a webhead of any kind and you have some questions about your upgrading of your website or maybe creating a new web presence or trying to fix some things that aren't working, that's what we're here for. Please visit our website. Once again, www.webheadsunited.com. Take a look at some of our webheads and feel free to reach out if you have any questions and want to talk to us. We offer complimentary calls. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Thank you to the webheads. Take care.